What's up everybody, Chuck Bailey with the Bass Channel here, and today we're going to be checking out the Kilt 10 from JHS. Let's go. Okay, so for those of you that may or may not know, this is not the original introduction for this pedal. This actually came out with JHS 10 years ago, and that pedal was called the Kilt. The Kilt was kind of a meeting of the minds between Stu G, famous recording artist, producer, songwriter, and he's in the UK band Delirious, back in 2015. He needed a pedal that was going to meet all of his extensive traveling needs and all of his studio needs, and this is what they came up with. It's a dirt pedal by its design, but I feel like that's not really giving it the credit it deserves, because from a distortion and kind of dirt perspective, this pedal is pretty incredible, and I was remiss to say that it was gonna be good, because a lot of times pedals that are initially designed for guitar don't always translate to bass, and I was pleasantly surprised. This pedal sounds phenomenal on bass guitars. So, the first thing that I noticed about this, and it was mentioned kind of briefly in the synopsis that they provided us, again, thank you JHS for the pedal, it's super rad. The first thing that I noticed about this, and that I wanted to check out, was their mentioning of their attention to the detail of the gain knob and how it's way more usable texturally when it comes to your instrument. And what I mean by that is, in lots of instances in pedals past, right? Flashback. You have kind of a dead zone from 0, we'll call it all the way off 0, yeah, to about 9 o'clock-ish, 25% range. Not really a noticeable change. Like it's almost absent. What's cool about this is, again, the lower end textures of your signal and the sound that this pedal can kind of provide. You have very nuanced and noticeable, subtle sonic differences in that first 25%, which I think is awesome, because, you know, a lot of times with these pedals, it's just 0, and as soon as you get it past that, like, 25%, 26%, it's boom, and it just hits, like, really forward, and, you know, there's no in between. Do all pedals do that? No, and I'm using this as an extreme example over the course of 20 plus years of playing. And using pedals like that. I'm sure everybody's made their own, you know, design improvements, but what I'm talking about with JHS specifically is that they already accounted for that, and they made sure that this gain knob has functionality from the 0 range through that 25% kind of gap that a lot of other pedals from previous designs, companies, etc., didn't really put attention to. So kudos to you guys for that. Now, quick disclaimer. Yes, this pedal does sound really good on bass, but it was designed for guitar. So you're probably gonna wanna run some kind of parallel low end to get some of that clean blend from your bass signal into the drive circuit itself, just to fatten it up and kind of you know, make it sound usable, for lack of a better phrasing. We'll show you. Yeah, check it out. outside of that, this whole pedal initial design has been revamped from the original 2015 model, the Kilt. The Kilt 10 has this brand new shinier chassis. If you notice right on the box, it has an actual kilt and an X. It's kind of cool because it's kind of a little like tip of the hat to the Scottish flag with the X and the Kilt's design on that. So I thought that was pretty rad. Let's go over the controls while we're talking about the front of this beautiful little pedal in all of its shiny glory, right? Pretty simple stuff. You got a tone knob, you got a volume knob, and then you have your gain knob. These three switches that run diagonally here, it's cut and flat, and then you have the G1 and G2 knobs. Now, there's a little bit more to go into for the G1 and G2 knobs, so I'm gonna show you this beautiful B-roll while I tell you what these things do. The G1 and G2 toggles work together to give you up to 4 different resistance clipping options. Both toggles down is the lowest gain setting. G1 up gives you more overdrive. G2 up gives you more fuzz. Both toggles up give you the heaviest gated fuzz that the Kilt pedal has ever been able to offer. So without sounding like slaps car hood, car salesman pitch here, I hate the buzzword thing. Chris and I make fun of it all the time because everybody uses the same ones, but some of them you just have to kind of lean on. And one thing that this pedal does that I thought was really cool is it's very transparent in the character of the bass that you're using. And what I mean by that is it's not coloring your tone outside of the dirt kind of pedal's job that you would expect that coloring to happen. It shows the differences, right, of how it sounds on a jazz bass versus how it sounds to a P bass. So much so that as we were running through this, we decided to kind of like overlap some of those different ones to show you guys. The character from the bass still comes through inherently, regardless of the pedal being used and the different tones that you're able to get and the gains that you have it set at. It shows the jazz bass on why it sounds like a jazz bass through this pedal. Same thing for the P bass, same thing for all the different pickups, right? So I thought that was really cool that you didn't have this kind of sterile kind of delivery system with this pedal where everything kind of sounded the same, right? Different pickups, different models, you're going to hear that through this. So kudos to JHS for making sure that that transparency of your instrument, why you have that instrument to begin with, still gets to shine even with a little bit of extra dirt all over it. So, closing thoughts. We love JHS and we love working with them. They're super easy to work with. They're very nice. Everyone over there is great. So when we get opportunities and they reach out to us, if we can collaborate for any of their pedals, it's because they have a genuine desire to showcase how their pedals sound, not just on guitar. And I know JHS, the majority of their pedals are kind of steered towards guitar. Fine. but the fact that they still want to have the accessibility for bass players to see how some of these pedals sound is really cool. There's a lot of companies that don't necessarily do that, right? Especially if they're pedal companies that have a little bit more of a focus towards guitars. So thank you for thinking of us, JHS. Thank you for thinking of the bass community and getting us these cool pedals and these cool opportunities to showcase that JHS sounds rad on bass too. The Kilt 10 is no exception. I love the design. I normally don't like the polished mirror kind of stuff. I think it looks kind of gaudy. But this actually, the simplicity of it, I don't know. I kind of dig it. I like the X-Men Kilt too. Because the X. We talked about it earlier. If you just chimed in towards the end, then whatever. The joke's lost on you. This pedal sounds great. I really enjoyed it on the 4-string Jazz. I really enjoyed it on the 4-string P. The lower end character for the 5 strings that we tried it on was still usable, still cool, but it did kind of start to get a little wonky. So your mileage may vary. Maybe it was the way that I played it. Maybe it was the pick attack. I don't know. We messed with it enough to where we kind of collectively decided that the 4-string bass for this pedal was the way. So a lot of our examples were kind of geared towards that. Let me know what you guys thought about this pedal in the comments. Let JHS know. I know they always like feedback, so we appreciate you guys for watching. Again, this is the Kilt 10 by JHS. This is Chuck Bailey from the Bass Channel. We will see you all later. Cue my music.